today I want to make a video on why I believe Kamala Harris is not the candidate that Democrats should run. I know everybody agrees with this, that the Democrats should not run Kamala Harris in 2028, but I need content, so please pay attention to this video for 15 seconds for your viewership to count as a view. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and get this map laid out, okay, for the rough possibility that it will look like. I'm not going to do like safe states or anything. I'm just going to like show, because like even though like some people might not agree Texas is safe, Arizona is definitely not safe, but we can all agree, or you know what, it's probably not, yeah, we can all agree that Arizona probably will go to the Republicans. Same with like Minnesota and New Hampshire too, New Jersey, all that. So I just want to talk about why Kamala Harris failed in 2024 and why she's gonna fail again in 2028 if she does run, and also why I believe that she's gonna struggle, possibly. I think Kamala Harris will struggle with fundraising if she runs for governor of California, with like lobbyists. But I don't think she'll struggle with fundraising, like grassroots campaigns. So as we have here, like after we get out all the states that are clearly going to shift one way or another, it's 226 to 219. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about how I believe, this election could play out if Kamala Harris does have to run. So one thing we have to look at is Kamala Harris's approval rating from 2021 and 2024. Now, her approval rating hit its lowest in 2023, where it was at 40% or -10. That's worse than Trump's doing. She had a 3 points worse approval rating than Trump did in December 2023. And then she's announced as the nominee, or she's announced that she's going to be the Democratic nominee. I can't, was it official by August? Did the delegates vote? I don't know. And we see this huge surge. Okay? It's like, oh my gosh, the 8,500-year-old Joe Biden is not running for president, who's clearly going to lose. Kamala Harris is the person that we have to. She's so young. And I actually do think that's something Kamala Harris does have, if we can look at her age. Yeah, Kamala Harris being 60, definitely, what's that, like 20 years younger than Joe Biden? That's pretty young for a presidential candidate, definitely now around these times. And then, you know, and then it drops by 3 points. And then right before the election, it's at 45%. We still have to remember, this is negative 5 points underwater. And if we look here, J.D. Vance right now is only 1.3 points away from whenever Kamala Harris had that surge from being announced the nominee. So I do think the same thing will happen to J.D. Vance if he is the presidential nominee. And I do think J.D. Vance's approval rating would also shoot up in a scenario where he's announced as the nominee at the after both parties' conventions. And if Kamala Harris comes out, I honestly think, if anything, her approval rating will be going down. I think people won't be excited about Kamala Harris running again. I also think people will the Democrats need to basically run away from Joe Biden's presidency. You might think Joe Biden was a good president, and that's your opinion. I personally like some things that Joe Biden did in his presidency. I do think he was way too old. I personally think that Joe Biden should have resigned after like 2022, 2023, one of those years, because it was clear that he wasn't all the way there. I feel like one of his cabinet members should have gotten him to resign, saying, I'm too old to do it. Okay, clearly I'm not the best mental state. But if Kamala Harris just waits 4 years, does absolutely nothing, and right now she's clearly not on the attack of Trump. If anything, Gavin Newsom and Ro Khanna and Zoran Mondani are basically the leaders of the Democratic Party right now. Kamala Harris isn't doing anything, so I definitely do think that will hurt her. Her approval rating won't skyrocket like it did, because the Democrats aren't in power. I do think, if anything, Joe Biden dropping out helped her approval rating so much. If Kamala Harris was just the nominee from the start, I wouldn't be surprised if by October her approval rating was at like only 41% favorability, closer to JD Vance. I mean, we look at 2021, like 2021 December, how close? Her approval rating is only like 3 points away from JD Vance. Now, I do believe JD Vance is a more unpopular vice president than Kamala Harris. Definitely is than what Kamala Harris was at this time. But I do think Kamala Harris is just waiting around doing nothing, and then she's going to be 64 by the next election. JD Vance, I believe he's only 40. I mean, that's a 20-year difference. People would love to have a much younger president, even they don't all agree with his policies all the way. I think we can all agree that we want our government to be much, much younger. And Kamala Harris, she's not getting any younger. That's why I believe she needs to just go back to the Senate or become a California governor. And if we look at a place like Pennsylvania, the voter registration for Pennsylvania has been huge for the Republicans. Now, Republicans don't have the majority of voter registration, but Republicans they're gaining thousands and thousands of independents registering to Republicans and thousands of Democrats registering to independents. And we're seeing the Democratic voter registration go down, Republicans go up, and independents go up. So clearly we see that Pennsylvania is shifting to the right. And Kamala Harris, she's not the governor of the swing state. She would be governor of the very, let's assume she decides to be governor and then go run for president. Now she's connected to what most people in the U.S. see as a dumpster fire. That is California. Taxes are super high. Nobody likes high taxes. Even if you think that they're good for the economy, we can agree that most people in the U.S. don't like their taxes super high. Homeless people all over the street, even if that's not the truth, there are just people all over California, or at least on video, that are homeless and don't seem to know what to do. And we look at North Carolina, even in 2020, where Joe Biden was probably at the height of his popularity, and Kamala Harris was too. We can agree, even in 2020, whenever Trump was at probably his worst state in his political career, that North Carolina, a swing state, still voted for Donald Trump. So there's no way she's winning North Carolina this time. I do think Joe Biden was a much better candidate than Kamala Harris was in the 2024 election. I think Joe Biden 2022, Joe Biden was a much better candidate, I believe, against Trump than 2024 Kamala Harris. And we look at Arizona. Arizona has only voted for the Democrats once in, let's go to JJ Maps. JJ Maps, yes. If we look, let's see, since 1996, I believe that's the last time they voted Democratic. So let me make sure. So what's this? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6, 7. So 1 out the past 7 elections, Arizona's voted for a Democrat, and that was whenever Trump only had a 41% favorability. You want the most unpopular president. Actually, he had the lowest average approval rating of any president since they've been taking the approval rating pools ever. And Biden still only won it by, I believe, 40,000 votes. So there's no way that she's going to win Arizona. And if we look at this past 2024 election, Trump had Nevada shift by 5 points between Biden, 2020 victory, and Trump 2024 victory. Trump even won Nevada more than Biden won it in 2020. And if you look at Nevada voter registration is shifting to Republicans a ton. And with Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, that already locks Kamala Harris out of the Electoral College. In my 2020 in my 2024 official prediction, I thought Kamala Harris would at least win Michigan and Wisconsin, which wasn't a terrible prediction. I mean, Wisconsin almost went to Kamala Harris. Trump won it by less than a point. But we look at Michigan, which is considered, sort of like one of the swing states that's a Democratic stronghold. Like a lot of people thought that 2016 was going to be the only time that Michigan and Wisconsin voted for Trump. And we look here, Trump won it by more than he ever has, by 1.4%. What is this? What's this? Like a 34 point swing between 2020 and 2024? I mean, I definitely do think Michigan's, but as we see, Trump is hugely popular with steel manufacturers, just like blue collar working jobs. Trump's hugely popular with that. What state has a ton of blue collar jobs? Michigan. So Republicans definitely do have hoping to win Michigan in 2028 again. Kamala Harris isn't popular with blue collar jobs. In 2020, Biden even struggled with them. I'm sure all of you have seen that video of former President Joe Biden yelling at a blue collar worker for asking him a question. And even a state that I think Democrats can be hopeful to win again, Georgia, Trump still won it by over 2 points. And if we look in 2016, Trump won it by 5 points. The only time that Biden won it, or when Biden won it, he won it by, I believe, around 20 or 40,000 votes. I mean, even Kamala Harris is able to win Georgia and Wisconsin. She has to go and win Michigan. That still doesn't win it to her. And then she has to somehow win Pennsylvania, possibly with Josh Shapiro on her ticket. But as we saw in the 2024 election, Josh Shapiro didn't want to be on her ticket. So I think throughout the years, until 2020, Kamala Harris will have a huge disapproval rating. I believe J.D. Vance will also have a huge disapproval rating. I don't think Trump will be popular at all. But I don't think going back to this Joe Biden administration is the right thing to do. Because nobody likes the Joe Biden administration. Nobody likes the Trump administration. So anyway, I would like to thank you all for watching on why I don't believe Kamala Harris is a good candidate for the Democrats. Anyway, peace out and thank you all for watching.